My father was chased by a killer. This is my father's story. As a child, my father was a paperboy, and he would get up very early in the morning to deliver them. My father would always end up with a few extra papers, so at the end of his route, he would offer papers to other early birds leaving for work and whatnot. On this day, my father offered a man who was sitting a parked van. The man just stared at my father and didn't respond, so my dad went on his way. As my dad was walking away, he heard a car door open and the sound of feet hitting pavement. He turned around and saw the man running after him. My dad was very athletic in his day. He played basketball and baseball, so he took off running. The man chased him for a bit, but my dad knew the neighborhood like the back of his hand and cut through backyards and hopped fences. He eventually lost the man and got home safely. He didn't tell his parents because he figured they would make him quit. A few weeks passed by, and two local boys went missing, and their bodies were found at a campground. They were raped and then shot in the head. The man who committed the awful crime was William J. Wright. When my father saw him in the newspapers, he recognized him as the man who chased him. I still don't know why he chased me. Not sure if this is let's not meet material, but it is seriously weird. By weird, I mean all my wat weird. This happened circa 6 years ago. I was on this trip to Pakistan. I stayed in Lahore at the time and wanted to go look around and all the usual touristy stuff. One place I visited during my trip had this weird-ass ritual kind of thing in a shrine. I've only glimpsed once or twice, but never the whole thing. I decided, what the hell? I got nothing to do, might as well check it out. I visited the shrine, and once I entered, a large amount of people were sitting in a courtyard in a circle, and there was this guy playing this drum hanging off of him. In the circle were men wearing long robes and just violently shaking their heads. Some were spinning, some were just hopping. It was just, what the fuck? Weird. So I just sat and watched in front when one of the men wearing the robes came up to me and just held my shoulders, still violently shaking his head. Then he just went up and hugged me tightly, still shaking his head. I felt his head shake more violently every second then. He just let go and went back to doing what he did. Oh my what? I just freaked out and left. Turns out I was only there 10 minutes, and 10 minutes too many. Now, this is when it starts to get creepy. I spent 2 hours past midnight checking out the Pakistani nightlife, come back to the hotel in the same path going past that shrine. As I passed the gate, I noticed the guy walk out and just stand behind me in my direction. I take one look back, and he's just standing there pointing at me while mumbling something in Urdu. I'm about 10 steps away from him. I pause and bend down, as if to tie my shoelaces. I notice he's walking behind me. I am seriously creeped out, so I stood up and walked forwards. I remember reading that if you feel like you're being followed, take 4 right turns. I do exactly that. He is following me. And getting up, I make like Usain Bolt to the hotel. I look behind, I see him. He's running really fast towards me and yelling something out in Urdu. I see the hotel and just rush inside. Later that night, as I was getting ready for bed, I hear something hit the sliding door to the balcony in my hotel room. I open it and see that it was a small stone. I feel another one bump my head. I look below the balcony and I see him, pointing at me with one hand, stones in the other. I squinted to get a closer look. At that point, the street lights and the lights in my room go off. I go back inside to check the lighting. Yep, blackout. I look back outside, he's disappeared. I know you can't see people in the dark, but I can make out silhouettes. His silhouette wasn't there. I get insanely creeped out and just shut the sliding door and go to bed. Around 1:30 a.m., I hear a tapping sound on my door. I use my phone as a flashlight, and I see a paper slipped under the door. I pick it up and try to read it. It's in Urdu. So I'll just leave it till morning. Next morning, I wake up and get dressed and give the paper to the receptionist, who reads it and told me that the paper said, My child. My child. What? I decided that's it. This guy knows where I'm staying, knows where my room is, and how I look like I'm going home. I pack my shit, check out, and get the nearest airport and fly out of that country. To this day, I still get freaked out whenever I hear tapping outside my windows, or weird men walking behind me. Our run-in with the KKK. So, let me start off by saying I have no clue if this actually does belong here, but I do know it is a good story. So, I live in a state where the KKK are still really active, and one of their main secret meeting places, just about everyone in town knows where it is, and it's also an effing friggin' wood that teens go to get freaked out. An old battleground is around 15 minutes away from my house, so one day, we decided to go to Hobbitland. That's what everyone calls the woods, as there are legends of evil hobbits protecting their woods. When we get there, we know something's not right, as we can hear a bunch of people off in the distance. So Mike, my friend, kills the lights and drives the car a bit farther into the woods. That's when we saw a big group of 70 to 100 people gathered around a big-ass bonfire. We get freaked out because we know that they don't take kindly to strangers, but as he starts backing the car out of the way, we hear a woman screaming, like bloody murder screaming. Shit was not alright. So Mike, trying to be a hero, turns on the light and drives the car right into the opening and yells many profanities at them, telling them to let the woman go. They didn't like this. We see a group of about 5 men running into one of the trucks parked there, so Mike steps on the gas and we go flying into the trails in the woods, with them right behind us, chasing after us. After about 5 minutes of driving through the woods, not being able to lose them, Mike suddenly gets an idea. He slams on the brakes and gets out of the car. Then, the 5 men all jump out of the truck with baseball bats in hand and start walking towards our car, while shouting things at us along the lines of, "You're gonna regret coming back here." When they're about 10 feet away from Mike, Mike jumps back into the car, locks the door, and slams on the gas again. We got out of the woods, and couldn't see their lights anymore, and head back into town. I still freak out about what they would have done if they caught us, and what happened to the woman. Chased home by a crazy. This is my second post here. I'm starting to realize creepiness just follows me around. This incident happened in 2007, the summer after I graduated from high school. I was 18 years old. Now, by all accounts, the town I live is considered safe. It's a college town, but most people are friendly, many on drugs, since it is the pot capital. But in my experience, potheads are relaxed and nice. I never felt scared walking home alone at night. I've been doing it since I was 13 years old, and I would walk across town at 2 a.m. for my best friend's place. This night was like any other. I was walking home from hanging out with friends on a street I've walked a million times before. I was about 3 blocks from home when I saw a guy walking on the other side of the street in the other direction. I didn't think much of it and kept walking. When he got almost parallel to me, he stopped walking and turned towards me. I figured he was lost, but whatever, it's a safe area. Then he started crossing the street towards me and ended up behind me by about 10 feet. I turned around and noticed he turned towards me and started walking in my direction. Weird, but I wasn't that scared yet. Then I noticed he was speeding up and getting closer to me. I start walking faster and so did he. Well, shit, now I realize he is following me, and that's when my fight or flight kicked in and I start running. I'm not a runner by any accounts. I have asthma, so I avoided to prevent an attack, but boy did I run that night. I was about 2 blocks from home when the chase started, and it's all uphill fucking California. He starts shouting at me, saying things like, "Stop, bitch! Get back here, I'm gonna get you!" By grace of God, I ran faster than him, and when I turned the corner for my street and finally got into my driveway, I dove into my neighbor's bushes to make sure he didn't see where I lived. Once he got to the intersection and looked lost, he turned around and walked away. What the fuck? So now that I knew I was safe, I calmed down a bit and trekked up my driveway. I went straight to my room, locked the door, took a puff from my inhaler, and went to bed. I didn't know why I didn't wake up my dad and tell him or call the cops. I think I was just in shock that something like that could just happen here. Chased on foot by a creeper. I posted this a long time ago in a different subreddit, before I knew this existed. My let's not meet moment was when I realized I was being chased on foot, and I didn't even have a phone on me. I'm gonna give you some location information, without trying to give out too much personal information, to paint this picture. I was working late at my old job, on Broadway in Seattle. Also, I was phoneless at the time. Poor recent college grad. Everything would be different if I had a phone. The usual night. So, in order to get home, I would walk down Broadway for a while, and then eventually it turns into another street, 10th, which goes on for a bit. After a couple long blocks, I would always cut down these stairs, which was about 13 flights, known as the East Lake or Lakeview Stairs, that would cut you down this huge hill and eventually to my home. The not so usual night. I start heading home around 12:30 a.m., still with my headphones on, zoning out and listening to my music. At this point in Seattle, I'd never really seen much violence and just didn't have my radar going for some reason. As I'm walking, I noticed across the street a creeper standing on the sidewalk. Right in the middle of the block, it is a male in a sweatshirt with a hoodie up. It immediately kind of strikes me as weird, as there is no bus stops there. But whatever, maybe he's waiting for a friend, or a ride, or something, right? Right as I pass him on my side of the street, I notice him cross the street to my side, and then he starts walking the same direction I am as well. I mean, no biggie, right? People walk the same direction as others, all the time. I remember thinking, I do the same thing to other people, even in the dark. After about a block, I noticed he had gone quite a bit closer to me. Originally, when he crossed and started heading the same way as me, he was a block behind. Now, however, he was on the same block. Something immediately hit me, and I could tell that glare he was giving me was not good. So, I decided to go into a light jog to see if this was really about me. I keep trying to play it cool and just stay with the jog, and I keep my head straight forward. What if he isn't actually following me? Am I just some stupid white kid that keeps looking back at him for no reason? Was my thought process at the time. With a few more blocks to go before I have to turn to the left to go down these huge stairs, I decide to take another look behind me. He is now about half a block back, and is also jogging. Oh shit. I just immediately start going into a run and pull off my headphones. At that point, I hear him running too, and I look back behind me, and sure enough, shit has hit the fan. We are both sprinting down a quiet road, and then I realize I am at those stairs that I need to turn off on and take to get home. This is where I do something stupid. Instead of running into the street or anything else, I decide to take a left down those damn friggin' stairs. As soon as I take a left, my heart is pounding typing this out. I immediately regret my decision. I hear him within 30 feet behind me, and all I can picture is me trying to outrun him while going down 13 flights of quiet, secluded stairs. There's no way this will turn out any good. So I've taken a left, and these stairs are surrounded by fenced-off big-ass houses and duplexes, very private. Knowing I can't outrun anybody going downstairs without falling, I just jump over one fence on the left side without knowing where it would take me or what kind of fall I had to take just to reach the ground. I fall about 7 feet to a deck. I look around, and there are about 4 very nice duplexes. I hear him approach that fence, so I take off towards the west side of the deck. I'm approaching them from the east side, to the back of one of the duplexes. Now, as I turn the corner on the house, I hear him jump the fence as well, so I keep going around the back side of this house and duplex thingy. I quickly find out the deck has come to an end at the back side of this duplex house thingy. I see motion lights go off around the corner, but I can't jump off the deck as there is a big drop off to a hillside full of bushes and other shit. To the other side of this deck is another duplex, but the decks do not connect, and there is about a 4 to 5 foot gap on the backside of these duplexes. Afraid of making a bunch of sounds by trying that jump, I do my next dumb thing. I decide I need to hide. I look around and see a pile of wood stacked against the backside of the duplex that is casting a dark shadow in the already dark night. I crawl up into a ball, hoping that he wouldn't see me, 'cause I was in the shadow. Then, as I am sitting there for about 20 seconds, I hear some rustling from the deck area I landed, and then it hit me how dumb I am. If he turns the corner and finds me, then I am dead. I'm curled up into a ball, so all I can imagine is him stabbing me or something, and me in a ball. So I had to move. The duplex right beside the one I'm hiding, the one with the gap between them, has a light come on, so I say fuck it and get on the rail and jump. I make the jump barely and roll. Immediately at that moment, lights go on inside of the house, and I run up the back sliding door and start pounding on it. A very frightened middle-aged lady slowly approaches the door with her daughter, and I ask her to please, call the cops. She starts freaking out and tells me to get off her private property. I let her know I'm being chased and do not need to come inside, but there is no way he will do anything if he just keeps me within her sight. She threatens to call the police, to which I tell her, please do, I'm being chased. I let her know I'm phoneless, but she just takes me for a junkie or a liar or who knows what, and tells me to leave immediately. With the eyes of a scared, sad puppy and the dread of death, I turn around. I turn around to leave, but I can't leave around the front, as that connects to all the other duplexes into one big deck, which is where that guy is, or at least that's what I'm thinking. So I just hop off the back of our deck into bushes and crawl down to some old overgrown stairs that connect down to the street. At that moment, it's about 1 a.m. now, and not a soul is outside, and any noise I would make it easier for him to find me and track me down and kill me. So I decided I'd hide in the overgrowth for about an hour, but in reality it felt like 5. After hearing nothing for a long time, I run home and share the story with my extremely scared wife. I got a credit card and bought a phone the next week. So yeah, there it is. I remember thinking throughout the whole ordeal, is this really happening? Creepy thug man. Let's not meet again.